Yeah, thank you, Convener, and apologies to the panel for not being present in person. I just want to go back a little bit and look at the challenges that are faced by student officers and staff in relation to colleges post-regionalisation. Because obviously with regionalisation we saw college mergers and multiple campuses come under the same umbrella. I want to explore, if I may, with you, the challenges that can pose. I don't mean specifically in terms of the time that the relevant people have to dedicate to each campus, but more from the point of view of, I think John talked about culture, different cultures in different colleges or campuses, but also, for example, travel issues that arise where courses are concentrated on one particular location, which presents difficulties. And I think particularly where there is a mix of urban and rural campuses. Yes, I am being parochial when I represent Angus. So I just want to tease out a bit more about that if we can, and maybe Amy's the starting point here.
Well, we'll send it to Amy first, but if not, Kirsten's happy to contribute as well. So over to you, Amy.
Thank you. Yeah, so I live very rurally myself, so I did find that, you know, getting to campus, we have our courses spread across most of them, but there are a couple of courses that are only available at Arbroath or only available in Dundee. So it is how we make sure we're supporting the students that, you know, might have to travel 50, 60, 70 miles from Stonehaven, you know, on the bus services right through to Dundee, and making sure that they have plans in place to make them feel like they have to be 5 minutes late every day because of the bus times, that, you know, that understanding they've had that conversation with their lecturers and they're not penalised because that's the first bus, things like that. So I do feel like when it's come to digital or, you know, online learning as well, thankfully my Wi-Fi signal's held up today, but that was a real sort of barrier for a lot of our students as well, with lack of devices or lack of sufficient Wi-Fi to be able to sort of engage in their learning properly. And that has taken a little bit of time to unpick, but we are thankful that we've been able to sort of get our hands on sort of external funding to get devices, or have those conversations where the students don't feel like they're limited in any way.
Thanks, Amy. Can we head over to Kirsten now?
Yeah, so I have a couple of points to make. In terms of, in response to the question about culture, I think because NESCOL has 3 very different full campuses and very different learning centres, we don't really have a NESCOL culture. We have a culture at each campus, but we don't really have a culture across the region, and I don't think that will ever be the case. Our students are so different, and we try, you know, staff members travel from each campus, students' associations travel from each campus, and we try to have cross-campus events. But I just don't think it's ever going to work. Our students are so different, and I'm sure it's very similar, for example, at HISA. And in terms of availability of courses, some of our courses, at least pre-pandemic, and now because online it's a little bit different, but they would happen at the City campus in Aberdeen, and students from Fraserburgh, for example, would attend virtually. So they're not getting the same quality experience as the students in Aberdeen. And there were also, you know, problems with Wi-Fi and things like that. These days, a lot of these classes are still occurring online, although there is a hope to go back to the previous model at least somewhat. The fact is now that the students are kind of getting the same experience, but some of these students are being taught by lecturers who live over an hour's drive away. The only way they can talk to them is by email. I can go and speak to my lecturers on campus because I'm at the City campus, so they're not getting the same provision. And of course, availability was something I wanted to touch upon as well. If you live in Glasgow, for example, and you want to take a course, you have 3 different colleges to choose from. If you want to take a course in Aberdeen, you have 1 college to choose from. If you live in Banff, you have 1 college to choose from, and it might only be available in Aberdeen. I think there's certainly not an equal opportunity across the country. And very lastly, in terms of what's happened in the pandemic, one of the things that I've looked at this year is the benefits of hybrid learning. And I think somebody else touched upon it, I can't quite remember who, but one of the benefits that we've discovered is that some students are able to attend college because they can learn online, and they would never have been able to do that before. and that's something I've worked on this year to try and encourage NESCOL to keep that on board. At least have an option to attend some classes virtually that you wouldn't otherwise be able to attend, much like they do in universities. So I think that's something we really need to keep going forward.